I go off stream yesterday and I'm like chilling, spending some time with the family, playing a tower defense game with the boys, playing some with Pox, trying to get DM in as well. And then bam, Path of Exile dropped something I did not expect them to drop, which brings a lot of questions, like a lot of them. And this is one of the coolest things ever, and I'll tell you why. But first, we're going to watch the actual video.
Desire more than what this mortal flesh could provide me. And so now, my darling, I am yours.
Fate of the Vaal. Dude, when I saw this, I got so fucking hard. Like, I was so erect. It was insane. You could almost see it if you looked at my pants. It's not that big, but also I saw DM tweeting out the Fate of the Vaal gemstone sword saying, swords confirmed. I don't know, man. I don't know. This brings a lot of questions. First one is the name of this unique item, which is a sword. The other part is this lady.
I desire more than what this mortal flesh.
This seems to be the queen of the Vaal herself, Atziri. I just got one thing to show you, boys. I got one thing to show you. This guy. And if we want to spice it up, we do it this way. Anyways, so here's some pretty cool things with this. First and foremost, the cataclysm that appears where Doriati brings us back in time at the end of Act 3, right? We end up with a situation where Atziri is communing with the beast. This means that Fate of the Vaal seems to be a hint of a story continuation. Does this mean that we're going to see another act? That is the first big question that comes up with this. Is Fate of the Vaal actually going to be a hint towards us getting a league mechanic associated with a continuation of the story? Now, I don't think that's the case, but this is surely hinting at that. It surely is hinting towards that. I'm not saying that's the case, but it seems to be something like that. However, Alva kicks in very hard when it comes to time travel and whatnot as well, which means that we might be looking at an incursion-related mechanic, which would be an in-map league mechanic, which might be an incursion/sacrifice of the Vaal combination. And what sacrifice of the Vaal is something that I hold very dearly. I hold it so dearly over my past almost 12 years in Path of Exile that I named my first cat for Atziri, the descendant of Bob the Dreadful Devourer, which is pretty funny. But either way, Atziri is a quad-titted bitch, and I love her. She only has 2 tits here, though. So clearly, she's getting corrupted by the beast and grows another set of tits. So I guess we should all thank the beast for that. Sacrifice of the Vaal is the first initial big patch that Path of Exile 1 ever received back in 2013 or something, when I started playing Path of Exile. I started playing Path of Exile a couple of months before 1.1 came out. This is patch 1.1, with the first proper real big endgame boss, Queen Atziri herself. There are 3 bosses in this area where you encounter Atziri. You first have to fight a duo of the what I refer to as the penis boss, which is the Act 2 slammer boss, Vaal Oversoul or Overlord or whatever it's called. You fight a duo of those, and then you fight the trio, Bone Bitch, 1 Spinny Boy, 1 Flame Striker. You fight a trio, and then after that you fight Atziri herself. And so that was patch 1.1 called Sacrifice of the Vaal, which introduced the corruptions of gems with the form of Vaal gems, which I'll explain how they work as well. So it seems like Path of Exile 2 will see the introduction of Vaal skill gems, but it also seems to be associated with the whole idea of Alva when it comes to Doriani, as well as the time travel situation with the story continuation. Another question is, are we going to see another act? Are they like shadow dropping an act on us? That would be freaking cool. On the other hand, they announced the league name, and then we had, for example, when the Huntress came out, it was Dawn of the Hunt, but the league mechanic, I believe, was the Asmarian Wisps stuff, which was announced afterwards. And if you go to Path of Exile, the name of the patch is The Last of the Druids, but it seems like the league mechanic announcement is Fated to Vaal, so I don't really know. I'm a little confused here with what's happening with the patch name, which is a little bit awkward to me that they're having two big announcement names for this. Either way, I'm very excited. Atziri holds is something I hold very dearly. It's the boss I used to farm. People told me back in the day, this is actually how my stream started. People told me that minions could not beat Uber Atziri. That's what people told me. And I was like, I just started playing the game. I'm enjoying it. And what do you mean it can't do it? Hold my beer. Let me try. And then a month later of theory crafting and testing and whatnot, I was the first one to beat Uber Atziri with a zombie inspector build. And that was pretty cool. And then I farmed the living fuck out of her for a long time after that. It was very enjoyable. This is 12 years ago. And now it looks like we're getting her back. I am freaking super excited for this. But also a DM was tweeting with the whole Fate of the Vaal sword. So now we have the whole question, are we getting swords? I don't think we're getting swords, by the way. I just wanted to point this out. This was a pretty cool coincidence or connection. I don't know. Maybe it's associated. Maybe it is something to be read between the lines there. However, the introduction of Queen Atziri seems to be gated with the incursion stuff. What it also means is that if we do get incursion related stuff, or we get to do content within the Vaal section of things, that might very likely introduce things like new monsters and whatnot, which means we have the possibility of new specters for the minion related stuff, and then we have the Vaal gems. So I'm going to try to explain Vaal gems, and I'll probably try to do this every time I bring this topic up in videos that I post on YouTube, because there's a lot of new players who don't know from that haven't played PoE 1, and there's a lot of people that have played PoE 1 and still have no fucking clue what souls mean. So Vaal gems is essentially a Vaal version of a skill. Call it an ultimate version of an ability, if you will. And that ability requires souls to be able to be used. And that's how the Vaal skills work. And I'm going to explain the soul mechanics so people actually fully understand this. This is a summon skeleton gem. But underneath you see Vaal summon skeleton. This is a corrupted skeleton gem, which you do with corrupted Vaal orbs. And it has a chance then to turn into a Vaal skill. And the Vaal skill is a secondary skill. So if I were to equip this, on my action bar, I have the regular summon skeleton skill, but I also have the Vaal summon skeleton gem. And in this specific skill, this is Path of Exile 1, of course. Vaal summon skeleton, it says soul gain prevention 10 seconds. That means that when you cast this skill, your character is unable to gain souls for 10 seconds after using it. It also says 0 out of 50 souls in the top right corner there in the tooltip, which means that it requires 50 souls to be able to be activated. So that's how this specific skill is working. So how does souls then work? Let's pretend that this is you as a player. Okay, that's players. That's you. Here is a monster, and here is a monster, and here is a second player. This is your teammate. When this target dies, it will generate 1 soul. This soul is then collected by the closest proximity unit that can collect souls. Now, there are mechanics in at least PoE 1 where you can make your minions have Soul Eater, which allows them to collect souls, which increases their attack speed, damage, and whatnot. However, Vaal skills is also a source of you being able to collect souls. So when this target dies, 1 soul is generated. And let's say your party member has a Vaal skill and you have a Vaal skill, but in this case, the distance between you and the target and your teammate and the target is closer to you. That means that you get the soul. If this guy died and both of you guys can collect the soul, then your teammate will collect the soul instead. So that's an important mechanic of how that actually works. This means that if you're playing in a party and you have like a melee character friend, God knows why someone would play melee, and he can collect souls, he or she, then that person would be able to, that person gets the souls first till he has maxed his souls or have soul gain prevention. And after that, the closest target will get it, and that might be you. So that's how that works as an example. And then once you've collected the max amount of souls that is required for the skill to be used, that opens up the possibility to use the skill. So that's how the soul system works. So what do we then have? We have Fate of the Vaal, and I can't for the life of me determine whether or not this is going to be a story continuation or if it's just a league mechanic. Honestly, I don't care because I love Atziri and I think it's absolutely amazing. And it seems like their system where they are trying to incorporate 2.0 versions of PoE 1 league mechanics. The Vaal stuff is not really like a big mechanic. It's you have like things like the Vaal skill gems and you have the Atziri fights and whatnot in PoE 1. So you already have Vaal orbs in PoE 2. And the idea like Omen of Corruption, we have corruption stuff already. So it has to be associated with a league mechanic. And the only thing that makes sense from my understanding is to include Alva into this with incursions. And for those of you who don't know what incursions is, in PoE 1, you encounter Alva as you're mapping. She will then say, yo, what's up? How you doing? And then you say, yo, I'm just slaying. I'm just killing monsters. And she asks, how many have you killed today? And you say about between 6,000 and 7,000 monsters today. And she said, whoa, that's a pretty fucking brain dead, degenerate, brain rot dead joke, but whatever. And then she shows you a temple that you teleport back in time to and tells you, well, if you kill the architect on one side, that room in that temple she sends you back to will be this version. If you kill the other architect, it will be this room. And then you kind of build your temple, and after X amount of encounters, you then get to engage with this temple, which is then a big map, if you will, that you engage with. And depending on the level of these rooms that you've killed these architects in, it's a little actually messy to explain this just by words for those of you who've never seen it. Either way, that's the mechanic. And she sends you back in time to the temple. And that seems to be on point when it comes to connecting Atziri in PoE 2 to a league mechanic to introduce it to Path of Exile 2. So that's why I'm 100% on board that this is some sort of incursion stuff, which also, like I mentioned earlier, might very likely bring in new monsters, a 2.0 version of the mechanic, and however that will look, and potentially that instead of fighting this little architect boss at the end of the temple, which is kind of a boring fight, we might actually see Atziri be part of that mechanic, which I'm quite excited for. It's going to be pretty cool. Build a bear? Yeah, basically. That's kind of how it is. I'm actually super excited for this. So yeah, I mean, the TLDR, I think we're getting new monsters, new specters. I think we're getting a incursion 2.0 version via Alva. There is a possibility that this is a story continuation. There is a slight thin little chance that swords are in there because of Fate of the Vaal. I think that's far-fetched. I think that's reaching, but I wanted to point it out. We are very likely. I would even go as far to say that I'm expecting Vaal gems to be there as a pretty much confirmed state. But you know, we don't know what they're gonna do, so we'll see how that goes. But Vaal gems seems to be the case. Now the question would then be: do you have it the way they do in PoE 1, where a Vaal gem is your regular skill gem as well as a Vaal version of the skill gem? Or will they introduce it in a way where you have a skill gem that's a regular version and a separate skill that is a Vaal version? I don't know. When it comes to socket starvation and whatnot. And I think it is going to be similar to PoE 1, where a skill can be both versions, which means they have the same support gems, and then you use those skills. There's also the possibility that because this is Path of Exile 2, that instead of adding a Vaal skill, they might start adding Vaal supports instead, which might be a possibility as they're trying to do these 2.0 versions instead of the just ripping off everything from PoE 1, right? So, I mean, it's all up for discussion, right? So I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But this announcement with Queen Atziri just got me super excited. And I can't stress how excited I am for PoE 2 with the Druid release coming. And now we have Queen Atziri as well on display. It literally couldn't be better. When I said I expect PoE 2's reveal for this 0.4 patch to be the biggest they've had in a very long time, I'm just getting that confirmed to me right now. Either way, I don't want to waste you guys' time with me just yapping. This is my takes on it. That's my theoretical opinions and predictions, I guess, if you will. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the patch, and I'm going to stop wasting your time. Hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, stay safe. Keep rocking.